Well, good evening, everybody. The H1B Guy here, and tonight, the Documented Dreamer Series live, episode 5, on the night of June 24th, 2021. Improve the Dream goes to Washington, D.C. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube and like this video, so that I can continue to produce more content like this for you. I also wanted to mention the H1B Guy offers a variety of consulting services. I help businesses and individuals solve complex work authorization issues in the recruitment process while bringing awareness to employment-based immigration benefits. If I can help you, please reach out. I'd love to hear how. Tonight's live stream is brought to you by RecruiterNetworks.com, the smart solution for digital perm ads and local job postings since 2001, and also by Path to Canada, the ideal plan B for high-skilled immigrants currently located in the U.S. whose status may be uncertain. If you're facing an H-1B denial or OPT expiration, don't get caught off guard. Make sure you have a plan B, and Path to Canada is your answer. Well, again tonight, I have the privilege to host contributors from Improve the Dream. If this is the first time you've heard about Improve the Dream, it's an organization that's led by young immigrants who grew up in the United States as child dependents on long-term visas and their parents with a clear path to citizenship. They bring awareness to a 200,000 plus documented dreamer group while advocating for change that permanently ends aging out and provides a path to citizenship for every child who grows up in the United States, regardless of status. So one of the purposes of the Documented Dreamer series is to make sure that we get out the message here, which is if you have a documented dreamer, a child that you brought as a legal childhood arrival, and they are facing an aging out, which is in the next couple of years, they could be turning 21, please make sure that you go to improvethedream.org/survey. That's going to give them access to the Slack channel where it is growing on a daily basis and will provide a sense of community for your documented dreamer. Tonight, you may recognize a few very familiar faces and, of course, a few new ones. Deep, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Rob. Thank you.
Lakshmi, how are you? Welcome back.
I'm doing great, Rob. Thank you.
Hey, Pareen, how are you? And welcome back. Oh, did we lose her? Pareen, how you doing?
Hello? Sorry, I was having Wi-Fi issues. No, I'm doing great. How are you?
We definitely have had our share of technical issues. I'm great. Great to see you again tonight. Sirvani, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And Ashley, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And Raghav, last but not least, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Rob.
Awesome. Well, of course, you recognize some of the familiar faces. What I'm going to do now is we're going to give an opportunity of our three new dreamers here tonight who've joined us to do a quick introduction. I've given them some questions in advance that we've talked about here a good bit when we do the Documented Dreamer series, which is, where are you originally from? How old were you when you came to the U.S.? What's it like being American? What are you currently doing now? So I'm going to let Sirvani kick it off for us tonight. Sirvani, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I was originally born in Hyderabad, India, and at the age of 4, I was brought to America with my father, and we lived in Texas for quite a few years. And I grew up in Texas and then later moved to the suburbs of St. Louis. And I have grown up here from kindergarten through now 12th grade. I just graduated a couple weeks ago, so I will be going to college in the fall. And, growing up, I felt like I was very American. I was very involved at school. I founded many clubs. I played a lot of sports. So It was always very normal for me. And so growing up, I also saw the various sacrifices that my parents made. And for me, being an American is, using your freedom and going for these different opportunities that you have had the access to. So
Mhm.
I actually started becoming involved with Improve the Dream last year, and I was very fortunate to meet these wonderful documented dreamers, and I was very grateful to go to DC last week and
Mhm.
advocate for this group, this large group. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So a Texan and a Midwesterner. I mean, I don't think it gets any more American than those two geographic locations growing up. That's for sure. Thank you for sharing that, and look forward to hearing more about the trip to DC as we go along here in the evening. Ashley, I wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, where you're from, how long you've been in the U.S., what's it mean to be American to you?
Uh,
Go ahead. Gotcha.
yeah, so I'm French. I was born in Paris, but I moved to Miami, Florida, where I've grown up my entire life. I moved here when I was 3 months old on my parents' E2 visa, and I've completed, every step of my education here from pre-K to high school. And America for me is home. It's a huge part of my personality. I have completed my education here, obviously, but I'm also pursuing a further education here also. And it's where I've lived, it's where I want to live. And so I had the pleasure of, being involved in Improve the Dream to change this issue, because a lot of my peers don't think it's an issue. They're not aware of it. That's a big problem with our issues. So we're just trying to raise awareness, and I'm really glad Improve the Dream gave me the platform to do so.
That's so cool, and just appreciate you sharing that. And on a quick side note, I don't know if you saw the news where the condo building in Miami that collapsed. Not to derail the conversation, but I think that my mom lives in a similar type building in Fort Lauderdale. To see that, it just makes life so surreal, and what we're all fighting for, right? And really appreciate you sharing that story with us, and look forward to continuing the conversation. Raghav, I want to move on to you, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sounds good. So I was born in India. I came to the US when I was 7 years old, and my family has been living in San Jose, California for the past 14 years. So this has been my home, and I guess being American to me just means not having like an immigration status holding you back, and just being able to pursue your dreams and passions and just focus on what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that what's interesting is we're talking coast to coast here, right? Miami, Midwest, South, Texas, California. What this tells me is that for documented dreamers, there is no geography boundaries here. It's coast to coast. It's every state. And I think that's one of the things about bringing awareness, as you said, Ashley, bringing more awareness. People aren't aware of this issue. Every time I do one of the documented dreamer series, one of my friends watches it for the first time and goes, "I had no idea that was a problem." So really appreciate the three of you doing those introductions tonight. I just wanted to remind everyone, if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. If you have questions or comments, we'll try to get to a Q&A here at the end of the evening. Also wanted to remind you, if you have a documented dreamer that's facing aging out, please go to improvethedream.org/survey to sign up and get them involved. Someone will definitely be in touch to help bring them into this wonderful community. So I'm going to try something new here tonight. Bear with me. I've created a little slideshow for you. We've seen a lot of these pictures already, but I think it'd be good for us to, I'm going to do my best. May see my menu bar here, so please don't hold that against me. I didn't take that off, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to bring up the slideshow. Okay, you guys see that? Everybody see that? We're good? Okay, so I'm just going to start it, and I'll stop it over each picture, and you guys just chime in and add color. I think this will be a great way for us to do the introduction here. Okay, sound good? All right, so here we go. So this is the title photo that we have on the thumbnail. Looks like right in front of the White House. Anybody remember what day this was on the trip last week?
This was actually my last day, and I think Sarvani's she was leaving the day after, so we were all super happy with everything we'd done. And it was a really special moment because we had, we'll talk about it later, but we had a meeting with the White House senior staff. And so we would have had it in person had COVID not happened, of course. So it was really special to see it in person and with the whole team get a picture. It was really special.
Yeah, there's some smiles here in this picture. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I recognize this guy, the newly elected senator from my fine state of Georgia here, Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. Looks like this may have been a sidewalk lobby session here, from what I can tell.
So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Senator Warnock was actually the first senator / congressman that we ran into. So seeing him first, so we were standing across the street and we saw him crossing over, I think with his assistant or someone. And then all of a sudden we're like, guys, I think that's Senator Warnock. So then Thief kindly goes up to him and we spoke to him for a quick minute or two. Yeah, Thief really took one for the team each time and always went up to the congressmen or women that we saw. And it was just so nice because that was our second day there, and then all of a sudden we just saw a senator. We really weren't expecting that, so it was definitely a great way to start off the trip. Well, the fearless leader has to take one for the team. That's what being the leader means, right? Very cool. Good to see the Reverend Warnock at least open to having a quick conversation with you. I think that says a lot to me, just seeing that. So okay. Who do we have here?
Senator Bennett.
Senator Bennett, who actually tweeted this picture, I believe, and it's made its rounds on Twitter, which very cool, right? Very cool. Okay, so there's the Capitol on the hill. This is a great picture, by the way. Whoever took this, really, they framed it beautifully. The backdrop's amazing.
Yeah, this picture I think was taken maybe on the second or third day, and it was kind of right outside our hotel, so it was perfect timing. We had the sun right there, and some kind lady came and take the picture, and perfect framing. Yeah. Yeah,
this one really stood out.
It was actually very chaotic because we had to stop, we had to time it perfectly because it was at a crosswalk, and we had to make her take it right when the crosswalk was gave us enough time to take the picture in the middle of the street. But cool. Great picture. Was totally worth it.
Now this looks like dinner from what I can tell here.
This is our very own representative, Deborah Ross. She has been a great supporter of our cause, and we are very grateful for her. But it was actually really funny how this fit. We would like to. It's not.
We lose her. Yeah. Someone else. Oh, we lost you for a second.
Are we good?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we just ended up being at the same restaurant at the same time, and it was really a coincidence. And just seeing her in person, and we were just so thankful for her support over the past few months. So.
Yeah, you could tell very casual here, right? Good to see, an individual like this sort of in comfort, right?
When we walked up to her and just said that we're documented dreamers from Improve the Dream, she got so elated and she was so happy to see us. So it was a good moment.
Cool. That's huge and just so random, right? Incredible to have that happen. All right, so another random. Here we go. This is a long tenured Republican, right? In the House, one of the
number
longer,
2 Republican.
Yep. In the paper towel aisle, it looks like. Pretty cool. Okay. Who wants to fill in the color on this one?
This is Katie, Representative Deborah Ross's amazing legislative assistant, who I've worked very closely with for the past several months. Absolutely a great supporter for documenters, and can't help her enough for everything that she's done.
You know, and that's a great point, Deep, and something that we've talked about here in terms of advocacy on this channel, and you and I have discussed this, is it's important to reach out to your elected officials, because you develop relationships with staffers like these who actually have as much influence as the elected official, because they help create the agenda and the policy for those officials, and very cool. Awesome. Okay, so this looks like a Zoom call.
I think this was definitely the highlight of my trip, at least. It was the meeting with the senior staff of the White House. I mean, with some members of the senior staff, and it was, I mean, I was with Sarvani in our hotel room, and we were like shaking. We were so, because it's like, of course it's very cool, but it's also a great relief to know that we've been fighting in silence, kind of. We've been struggling. We didn't even know that other people shared our struggle for so long, and now we're meeting with members of the White House to solve it. It's like, you know, it's great. It's a great step.
Yeah, that they're actually open to having the conversation, and you know, of course, our good friend and extreme advocate David Beer from the Cato Institute shows up here in the bottom left, and I know he's just been a huge friend and advocate for Documented Dreamers as well, and his influence is incredible. So just great to see you know, this meeting and the documentation of it, you know, happening. So what we got here?
So this is actually my representative, Representative Miller Meeks from the 2nd District of Iowa. And we had actually been in contact with her staff that day. And we asked her staff, Carolyn, if she was open to meeting our group. And fortunately, you know, she took the time to talk to us, to obviously, as you can see, take pictures with us, but it just meant so much to me personally. I'm sure the group as well, but me, because my voice was being heard by my representative, and I just felt so grateful to be there, so grateful to have had that opportunity.
That's awesome, and glad she gave you the opportunity to come in to her office. That's pretty cool. You know, I think you've seen there isn't a lot of those opportunities out there. To have that's amazing. Okay, what do we have here?
So this was another one of those standing on the sidewalk, and we were actually just finished a meeting with a congressman's staff, and all of these legislators are just coming out of the buildings, and we're like, whoa, okay. So we started recognizing people, and so Representative Escobar was one of them, and she kindly, she listened to our story and understood, you know, where we came from, and she was willing to take a picture with us. So this was kind of like an awestruck moment there.
Yeah, very cool. So cool. And, you know, the smiles, right? I mean, I think that's what I noticed is the theme throughout all of these photos is just, you know, the excitement in your guys' faces from what you've been able to accomplish in that week. Who's got this one? Fill this one in for me.
Yeah, I got this one. So this is actually my Congresswoman, Representative Mary Gay Scanlon from District 5 in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
And we actually saw her twice. So the first time we saw her was when we took this photo, and then we actually saw her the next day as well. And she recognized us, and she listened to our stories as well. And it was just, like Karine was saying, like, just meeting your own like congresswoman and having them listen to your story and take a picture and really just like hear you out just really meant a lot to all of us.
Yeah, that your voice is actually heard by someone that's elected to listen, right, and not ignored. I think that says a lot. Very cool. Okay, who do we have here?
It's Representative Raskin.
Mm-hmm. Was this
and just
another?
to give a little bit more context, so all of these members of Congress that we met, like the last couple pictures, what had happened was there was like a floor vote that was going on that just finished, and basically because like right now everything is kind of closed, all the members have been using like the normal streets to go back to their office from the Capitol building.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw like a ton of members of Congress going by, and we were just trying to have conversations with as many as possible, and he was one of them.
Awesome. And I mean, that's grassroots advocacy right there. We're willing to stand on a sidewalk and shake hands, right? Who do we have here?
This is Representative Jimenez's legislative assistant.
Okay, cool. So got to meet with him for a bit?
Yes, we had a meeting with him.
Awesome. And outside Rep. Rutherford's office, I'm assuming this is a staffer of his as well? Awesome. And right in front of the Capitol, Raghav, who is that?
I'll let Deep talk about this one. It was his congressman.
Oh, your congresswoman? Yeah. Cool. From the state of Illinois?
Yes. So this is my congresswoman, Lauren Underwood, who's been absolutely supportive of Documented Dreamers. Mm-hmm. And she invited us to meet her at the steps of the Capitol, which actually is closed right now, but they were so kind to let us go there. And actually, while we were there meeting her, we also were able to meet with some of the other representatives that you'll see in the next few pictures.
Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. Hard to believe, events that took place here in January. Now look at it. It's just crazy. So this is a full photo of you guys, and this is your elected rep out in the Chicagoland? Deep?
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, I recognize this face. Who do we have here?
So on the left, we have Representative Jayapal, and then in the center, we have AOC, or Representative Ocasio-Cortez. And completely unplanned, we had just finished talking to Representative Underwood from Illinois. And all of a sudden, Raghav, he nudges me. He's like, "Hey, there's AOC," and I'm like, "Where?" And she comes down the staircase, and we talked to her for a little bit about our cause, and it just meant so much to hear that, hear these kind words from her. And Representative Jayapal was just finished with her own conversation, and Representative Ocasio-Cortez just yelled, "Hey, get in the picture, Pramila." And so Congresswoman Jayapal ended up getting in the picture with us. And I think this was one of the highlights for me, at least. It was just an amazing experience.
Absolutely. How could it not be? You have two very outspoken icons, right, that have been very pro-immigration here. So, it lends itself to your cause. And I just would say, you don't have this meeting right here in this spot if Deep didn't have a relationship with his representative, right? Because you're not on the steps of the Capitol to make this happen. And so, these things aren't coincidence, right? It's pretty cool to see that.
Exactly.
Representative Jayapal's staff also tweeted out that picture, so that's really special.
Awesome. And this is Lakshmi, your rep again, correct?
Yeah, so it's my rep again. And also,
Yep.
I just wanted to add one thing about the previous picture. So when we saw Representative Ocasio-Cortez, she actually told us that we were like the first like advocacy organization that she's seen down here in DC, like especially, by the Capitol. And that really like that really meant the world to us, like, knowing that, things are just starting to open back up, but all these legislators and amazing people were willing to meet with us and speak with us. And like, that just really meant a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, hearing that from her, right, is, I think, however you are, whichever side you're on, in terms of some of her policies, I think, her ability to be outspoken and bring attention to the issues is clearly evident. And for her to at least be aware of the fact that here you guys are one of the few advocacy groups that she's seen, that says a lot. It does. So was this meeting set up here, Lakshmi? Did you guys plan to meet again on the steps here, or was this random?
So this was actually random, and so this was the second time that we had seen her. So Congresswoman Scanlon actually recognized us and wanted to take a picture with me individually, like on her phone as well. So like that was really, it was really amazing. Yeah.
Very cool. That is. So
she
cool.
Actually walked over to us while we were talking with Representative Jayapal, I think, and she's like, "Look at them! They're everywhere, aren't they great?" So it was really nice.
That's awesome. That's what it requires. You gotta cast a wide net. You definitely do. Okay, tell me about this one, Deep.
Well, this is Senator Manchin, who's one of the I guess most popular Democratic senators, or one of the most important. And it was a great moment. We saw him going by while we were waiting for another meeting, and we just walked up to him. I think there were reporters trying to talk to him, and he was very happy with me walking up to him and taking him away from the reporters. And I think one of the reporters actually tweeted out a picture calling us, it said something like "random immigration lobbyists."
I saw that actually. Yes, I don't know if you shared it or not. I saw it. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about somebody like the esteemed Senator Manchin would be, how much does he really know about your issue and your plight? And I don't mean that to be negative, but I just mean that, sometimes we look at senators like him who have been around on the Hill for quite a while, and what his agenda is and what yours are probably don't align. But good for you to get in front of him and at least make him aware of who you are and what you're advocating for.
I can definitely say that, after he took the time to actually listen to us, and he deeply cared about it, because he's, since we met with him, he's followed up with us and connected us with his senior staff. And
awesome.
It just shows that he really listened to what we said.
Yeah, and connecting you with his staff, again, kind of goes back to what we talked about in working with the staffers to really get your voice heard. So, cool. Very cool. All right, let's see what we got here next. Okay. Oh. Out in front of Senator Coons' office, I see here.
I think we skipped over Senator Murkowski, so I'll just mention that real quick.
Nope, let me see if I can back it up. Sorry. Ooh. Okay, here we go. There you go.
So this was another very special one. She really took the time to listen to us. I think it was almost like over a 10-minute conversation, and she was asking detailed questions to each of us about our situations, and it just means a lot. Like, even after taking this picture, she was asking more questions instead of just walking away.
Awesome. I mean, and that's what it is, right? You're just looking to be heard. I mean, that's the key. So here we go, back to outside of Senator Coons' office? Is this one of his staffers?
Yeah, this is one of Senator Coons's councils,
Okay.
judiciary councils, and have a good relationship with their office as well.
Awesome. I think we got just a couple more.
And it's interesting because most of these people that we met with in the office, it was their first in-person meeting in over a year. So it really meant a lot to us that all of these individuals were willing to meet with us in person.
Oh, very cool. And then wrapping up, looks like a street pic, right?
I think this was actually the first group picture that we took on Monday. So it was really nice. The first of many pictures.
The first and last here in the slide deck, right? Sorry, I didn't have an order, so. But very cool. Lots of smiles still, and I think that, you know, for me, that's the thing that I noticed kind of throughout the slide deck, right? Is just the excitement that's come from a trip like this. But, you know, I think when you look at a trip like this, deciding to spend a week in DC, you know, there's some things that go into that, right? So there's a lot of planning, and there's definitely some expenses that are incurred in a trip like this. And you know, walk me through, I guess, Deep and the rest of the group. You know, when did the planning start for this? And you know, definitely looking at what plane tickets, hotel for several nights, right? So who wants to start?
I can start. So I actually was sent an article from my parents about an advocacy group in DC. And they kind of put the idea in my mind. And I said, okay, well, I mean, I'll pass this along to Deep, see what he says. And, you know, in that moment, I really felt like a possibility that our voices could be heard. By, you know, very powerful people, right? And I think, you know, and this happened probably second week of May. I remember I was studying for my last final of the day when I saw this message from my parents. And I think it really gave me the hope that I needed just to, you know, not only finish the semester off strong, but also this could be a possibility, and this is what we're fighting for. And so I passed it along to Deep, and he can take it from here.
So obviously, like, this was something that was like in the back of my mind. Like, once COVID ended and things opened up, definitely wanted to do some sort of an advocacy trip. But back in May, like when Perrine reached out and just kind of gave this idea, like, can we do something like this? It really, I think, pushed me because, you know, ever since, like, especially after Perrine gave the testimony to the House Judiciary Committee, like, I was more inspired than ever to, like, keep pushing. And I think that just kind of pushed me, and I was like, okay, let's just do this. It's going to be kind of a risk because we don't know what all's going to be open, how many meetings we can do. But like, if we don't try, we're not going to know what we can do. And I think it turned out really great.
I will admit that, and I know we've already had Perrine on to talk about that experience, but the fact that you guys got to that table, the House Judiciary hearing, I mean, it inspired me too. I would be lying if I told you that it didn't. So, Perrine and Deep, original organizers, who got involved next?
So I actually got a text from Deep around that same date, and he was like, "Are you free like this certain week in June?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like confused because I was like, "I want to definitely do something like this." And so at that point, I started texting Lakshmi. I was like, "Lakshmi, like, are you free?" And Lakshmi and I, we've actually known each other since like about the end of last year. So I had always wanted to meet her in person. I was like really excited, and by that time we were all like, is this going to really happen? And for me, I don't think I got the tickets till about like 2-3 weeks before the trip, but I was very excited to like go and advocate for this cause. So yeah.
Awesome. So Deep text Servani. Who else did you text, Deep, around that time?
Honestly, it was a lot of this group right here, and it was just to try to figure it out because it was going to have to be quick planning. And I think everyone had to be up to kind of take a risk because things weren't going to be very final until probably the week of or the week before, which is what happened. A lot of the meetings were actually finalized literally the week before, and many were even the week of.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm really happy everyone was willing to, take that risk and travel to DC.
Yeah, so Ashley, walk me through. You get a text from Deep that says, "Hey, you want to go to DC?" What was that like for you?
It was crazy. So I had just finished. It was this. I don't know if it was the same day as Servani and the rest, but it was the same day because I'm also like on top of my American diplomas, I'm graduating also with my French baccalaureate, and unfortunately, those exams lasted until like mid-June compared to like every other language program. And so I had just finished my oral exam that I had prepared for like months. I was in the school bathroom, like getting ready. I was changing because, the uniform. And I get a call from Deep and he's like, "Ashley, would you be interested in going to DC for an advocacy trip?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course." Cool. And I'm like, "Thank you, universe." Like, I feel like I've suffered so much for these exams. I feel like this is my like reward. Yes, please. I'd love to go. I call my dad. He's like, "Yeah, I know. We're getting the tickets right now." I was so excited. It was because we've been, like I said, like this has been kind of like a silent struggle for so long. And then Deep kind of like shed light on the issue. So it's, oh God, we finally got to put a face on, this problem. So it was such a special moment. I was so happy.
Yeah, we've talked about The Secret as a theme through, some of the other documented dreamers that we've talked about, right? The secret that all of a sudden, anywhere between 15 to 18, you realize, oh no, I have a problem. And now you start openly talking with people about it.
Exactly.
And what that's like, right? So Lakshmi, I'm sure, did you take the train down, or what did you do? What was your commute? You're probably the closest to DC of the group, right?
Yeah, so I'm definitely the closest. So I'm from Philadelphia, so I took the Amtrak down. So it was really nice. And I think the same day that Deep texted Servani, I was texting him before that too. And I remember that night, like Servani and I, we were so excited. But even though Deep was kind of saying, nothing is really certain, like we were all still so excited. Like that's how much, this trip really meant to all of us. And like Ashley was saying, like growing up, honestly, up until like earlier this year, like some of my closest friends, like didn't even know that I was in this situation because it was always really hard for me to openly talk about it. But like when Deep mentioned the trip, like it felt like everything was like slowly starting to fall back in place again. And it was just really exciting.
Yeah. And, I remember you sent me an email, I think, after you were on and were able to just kind of openly speak about it and how kind of freeing that was for you, to come on and have your voice be heard to a wider scale. Now, here you are going to DC to advocate. Look at that. I mean, just so proud to see that growth that you've had in the last several months and the confidence and the ability to tell your story. So Raghav, you had the longest flight. When did you make the decision to get on a plane and fly cross country?
Yeah, so I was probably the most indecisive person because when Deep first told me, I was like, "Oh, this is in the summer. Like I have a lot of time for this," and I think I just kind of dismissed it a little. And as the date kept getting closer, I was like, "Wait, this is actually happening." And so I started thinking about it, and I was talking to my parents, and I think they were a little suspicious. They were like, "Is this okay for you to do? Because you don't have a legal status and things like that." So, but eventually, we thought it would be a good idea. So, I was trying to decide, like, I think I booked my flights like the week before that. And yeah, I was like watching the plane tickets go up and I was like, okay, I just got to do it. So I did. And, the next thing I was like on the plane and I was taking an Uber to the hotel and I met all of the lobbies. So that was awesome.
You mean immigrant parent suspicious? Come on. I mean, not heard that, or just really any parents of teenagers in general. Wait, you're going to get on a plane and go do what? Very cool, though, that, you know, they supported you and allowed you to go do that. So great week in DC. Met a lot of different immigration advocates, you know, elected officials and staffers. So I wanted to just kind of go around and give everybody the opportunity to talk about two things. And those are, one, what was like that aha moment for you where you were like, wow, and maybe we've already talked about it a little bit tonight. AOC comes to mind for some of you, but you know, what was the aha moment? And then what's one thing that you took away that you'll learn from the experience? So I'm just going to start in the top corner here. Servani, I'm going to let you start since you were the first that got the text. So kick us off. What was your aha moment, and what was one thing you learned?
So my aha moment was like when I realized like, whoa, we're like really making a difference. I had two, and the first one was when we met Senator Warnock. We were just standing there like getting ready for a meeting, and he had such a kind conversation with us. And that I think in that moment I kind of realized like, oh, like they actually want to help us. And then later on Wednesday, we had our meeting with the Senate, the senior staff at the White House. And like Ashley said, I was sitting there, I was like shaking, and then the Zoom thing came up and said, you are now entering a government Zoom call. And I was like, whoa, this is really happening. Because like we've been advocating for such a long time, and to get to this point was just amazing. So
cool.
And so the biggest thing I took away was just like everyone in this group was willing to fight for their future. Like we had so much on the line, and I was just so inspired by everyone's stories. And I think the thing I took away was we have to continue fighting. Like that's what just needs to happen. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fight for their self and you at the same time, right? It's a community. Perrine, what was your aha, and what was one thing you learned?
Excuse me. My aha moment was when we met Mr. Lalit Jha for the first time. He is a White House reporter for PTI, and that was one of our first meetings that we had. It was last Monday, and it was one of the first meetings where it seemed like we had rehearsed, but no, it was our first. That was our first time meeting everyone, and it went so well. We were able to explain the situation that we were in so concisely, but to me it felt very powerful. And something that I learned was, I mean, I was in awe of just the people that I was surrounded by. I mean, just everyone on the trip that I became friends with, they are the most amazing and successful group of young adults that anyone will ever meet. And I think that's when I realized, wow, I'm in good company. You know, everything will be okay if I have these guys right next to me.
Awesome. Very cool. Ashley, what about you?
I think I had two like highlight moments where I realized like, wow, this is crazy. The first was I mean, I had just gotten off the plane. I actually met Sarvani coming out of the airport. It was very random. And we got to the hotel, like made our first meeting immediately. And it was like Perrine said, it was almost like we rehearsed it. Everyone just like, I don't know, completed each other's stories, even though we had met, like 10 minutes before. And it was just, I was so amazed by the people I met. So humbled, but also so, I don't know. Yeah, I really felt like I was in good company, really. And awesome. The second was definitely, I mean, the White House meeting. That was just, I was shaking. My hands were, it was crazy for me. And I think what I took from this trip was, I guess, don't hesitate to speak out I know we are more fortunate than others that we already have a platform, Improve the Dream, and obviously, like, I encourage any documented dreamers, or, you know, if you know any documented dreamers, to reach out to Improve the Dream to give them a platform. But just, I didn't realize how much of a difference you could make before this trip. It sounds cheesy, but it's so true. I didn't realize that you could make such an impact, meet so many powerful people, and change their minds, really like illuminate them on a subject that they actually didn't really know was an issue before this trip. So it was a great moment.
I've had that exact same experience, and I know what that feels like, just on a slightly different level. Raghav, what about you?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that I just learned the first meeting was that the political system is not something that we can't touch. It's definitely something, like, if you keep making enough of an effort, we can get to the right people and make a difference. And I think after the first meeting, like, I told everyone, wait, this, like, DC honestly feels like a high school club or something, because everyone's just going around doing like a bunch of things and, you know, talking about other people and, like, I don't know, just sharing ideas, I think. So I think that was cool to see. And also I just felt like if we keep asking and keep pushing, like, we'll get to what we need to, like, what we want to be doing. So, yeah.
That's interesting that you say DC is like a high school club. And I think about when you say that, I go, yeah, but there's folks that haven't left for decades, which is, you know, we could get into the whole term limits discussion. That's a completely different rabbit hole to go down. But it's interesting that that was a takeaway for you. I mean, I think that's a very real indication of how, you know, our current political system is structured. Lakshmi, what about you?
I think the highlight for me was definitely the White House meeting. And honestly, like, I felt emotional throughout most of the trip, but especially during that meeting, like, as I was, you know, finishing up my story, like, my voice was like breaking, and it's like I could almost feel the tears like about to come down, but I was like, no, like, I have to hold it together, because it was just hitting me, like, here we are in DC meeting with all these legislators, national organizations, and people that genuinely like want to help us, you know, and it was kind of all hitting me at the moment. And just also, like, I was sitting across the room from Karine, and, you know, like, the minutes leading up to the call, like, I was like, oh my God, like, we were both kind of, you know, like, definitely really nervous. But then once we got on, it just, like, I feel like we all really completed each other's sentences, each other's stories. Like, we all knew what to say, even though it wasn't really rehearsed at all. Like, you know, so, and I feel like that really goes to show how powerful this group was. Like, I mean, we've all had a lot of the same struggles in terms of being documented dreamers, right? But within all of our stories, there are differences that we highlighted. And it's just like we all really connected from the very first second we met. And I think that really went a long way throughout all of the meetings, because I think that's really how we were able to get through with a lot of the people that we met and really connect with them.
Yeah, group chemistry and the same agenda is very important. Well, Deep, I wanted to wrap up with you, kind of your ahas and you know, maybe a takeaway that you have. Before we get to that, though, Deep, I just wanted to ask, if you're watching, make sure you like this video. You're subscribed to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications so that you're notified anytime we go live, like we have here tonight. If you have questions or comments, I know we've got a few in the chat. I wanted to thank my good friend Samir for the super chat. We'll cover the rest of the comments that are posted after we go to Deep and do an Improve the Dream update. But Deep, wanted to pass it over to you. What was your aha, and what was your takeaway?
I think first, I just want to say meeting everyone in person and, you know, connecting with everyone, and everyone here, they're just such amazing friends now. And everyone did an incredible job telling their stories throughout all of the meetings, and it was personally inspiring. And I also knew that everyone's going to fight as hard as they can to get this done. So that was really inspiring, and I'm glad to have really met like all of these amazing friends. And then, as everyone's been saying, having the meeting with the White House staff and other senior administration officials just means so much to us, because as documented dreamers who have felt ignored for the last several years, having this meeting with some of the highest officials in the country, it shows that we really do have a platform and our voice is being heard. And I think it has been heard. And from the meetings we had, I'm very hopeful that there's going to be some positive change soon.
Awesome. And, I think that for you, and everything that you've done, you've birthed this idea and this concept and, launched improve-the-dream.org and, everything that you've done, just unbelievable. And kudos to you. You continue to impress the heck out of me, man. And, just grateful to call you a friend and someone that I have the ability to communicate with. So, great work, man, getting this trip set up. Proud of the six of you and going and beating up the pavement and having a very productive week in DC. Deep, I wanted to pivot now and just do an Improve the Dream update. I'm going to just kick it over to you and fill us in outside of this trip from DC. What's the latest happenings with Improve the Dream?
Yeah, so just to quickly summarize, so throughout the week, we met with several different organizations, legislative staff, members of Congress, some senators, the White House, and DHS officials as well. And all of this was a continuation of all of the work that we've been working on. So tomorrow there will actually be a congressional letter to the administration that's going to be public from Representative Deborah Ross. And this is going to be a congressional ask to the White House and DHS to ask for documented dreamers to be included in the updated DACA regulations in August. And then also to urge for DHS to use dates of filing to freeze a child's age instead of the final action date. So those are like two of the biggest changes that we've been pushing for. And we're really happy to see this letter that we've been working on hard for last few months is going to be public tomorrow. And it's going to have somewhere around 40 members of Congress who have signed on. So wow, that's very exciting.
So breaking news, a representative letter penned directly to the Department of Homeland Security asking for executive action for documented dreamers to be included in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals update that is set to be released sometime in August. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. And this is in line with the Improve the Dream asks to USIS. There was a public comments that they had asked for last month, and we've been pushing those same things for the last couple months. And we're glad that we found Congresswoman Deborah Ross to champion this. And then, lots of other members of Congress who are supportive.
Yeah, 40 names is no small accomplishment at all. So kudos to you in those efforts. Looking forward to potentially reading the letter once it becomes available to the public. And huge thank you to Representative Ross and her team for willing to put her name on the line for documented dreamers. It's just unbelievable.
And then also next week, we should be having the introduction of our the Documented Dreamer Protection Bill that would permanently end aging out. There was a Fox News article on about this last week as well. And it's going to be Congresswoman Deborah Ross, who's the main lead, and Perrine's Congresswoman Miller Meeks, who's going to be the Republican co-lead.
So bipartisan legislation as well, with potentially text that's going to be very similar to a lot of the language that you've been working on for the last couple of years. And, I have to say that, that probably doesn't happen if Perrine isn't involved. And Improve the Dream. And that's a reason why if you have a documented dreamer and they're not involved in improve-the-dream.org, you have to go to improve-the-dream.org/survey. And you've got to get them signed up and be a part of this growing community. Deep,
And
what
Rob,
else
I
you
just want to
got?
say
Go ahead.
that's absolutely right. I wouldn't have expected Congresswoman Miller Meeks to be like our co-lead for this bill. Um, but we had a meeting with them after Preen's testimony, and they were just really great and touched by the story and the issue, and they've been very supportive. So the more people we have reaching out and advocating, the more we can raise awareness for the issue.
And I'm sorry, but I'm just curious. I've forgotten Lakshmi's rep's name, but will she be a signator on this document as well? Were you able to facilitate that?
So Lakshmi's representative is Congresswoman Scanlon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she would be a supporter of the bill. However, probably at introduction, there's going to be like equal number of Republican and Democratic co-sponsors.
Oh, awesome! That's so great to hear. Bipartisan legislation. That's just amazing. Awesome. What else, Deep?
So those are the two main updates. There's a lot of other things being worked on. But I think it's really important to push both legislatively as well as administratively, because there's a lot of people that are aging out very soon. And I'm really hoping that the DACA regulations that get updated in August can provide protection for them.
So again, breaking news, a letter requesting executive action, and then legislation for documented dreamers, regardless of their parents' immigrant status, right? I'm assuming that is E2HL. All documented dreamers will be covered under this new legislation that we expect to be released sometime next week by Representative Ross and Representative Meeks from Iowa as well. So kudos and congratulations. I look forward to reading the text on both of those. That is reason to celebrate, but it doesn't mean it's time to let off. We've got to keep pushing and we've got to keep fighting. But what you see here is that when you're organized, you have power in numbers. And there is a methodical approach to advocacy. Look what can happen. I wanted to pivot really quickly, Deep, and not to bring any rain clouds over this breaking news, but I think it's worth us talking about because I've seen a lot of chatter out there surrounding advocacy on the Eagle Act 3648, which is kind of a carryover from the Fairness for High-Skilled Immigrants, HR 1044, Senate Bill 386. And the thing that I covered, and I did a video on the Eagle Act a couple of weeks ago, and I've talked about it a few times in live streams and on the news, and that is there is protections for H4 dependents. However, there are not protections for E2s. And so, that would mean that Ashley and Deep would not qualify based on being a documented dreamer, but being in a different status. And I think that, some of the sentiments are that, you're fighting for your own cause, not fighting for ours. I've seen some of those accusations out there, and I think that anyone that is making those accusations first and foremost is selfish and doesn't understand the bigger picture. The second point that I will say is look what happens when you're organized and you do things the right way. You get your voice heard. Okay, and so I think the proof is in this letter that's set to come out. The proof is in the legislation that we'll see that will be a small, isolated standalone. So the progress is happening, and Improve the Dream. I go back to when I was first introduced to Deep. I knew that this was the right cause for me to be behind. And so, Deep, I wanted to give you an opportunity to address some of the conversations around the Eagle Act, some of your thoughts around it, and what you see in terms of some of the accusations that are out there surrounding your advocacy and it not aligning with HR 3648.
Well, first, I'll just say I think that the Eagle Act, as it's currently written, should be passed and become law. It would end the per country limits, which if the bill had been in place, the majority of the people on this call would not be in this situation. So it definitely should become law as it is written. Um, and then as far as like E2 kids not having protection in it, I wouldn't expect that to be in this bill because that's not the purpose of the bill. Um, However, something that I've seen a lot and that is misleading is saying that the Eagle Act is the solution for aging out kids, which unfortunately is very misleading and just not true because those who are at immediate risk of aging out and self-deportation wouldn't actually benefit from the bill, and that includes H4 kids. There's a clause in the bill that says a lot of the provisions in the bill don't go into effect until the second fiscal year after the bill passes. And then a few of the specific age out protection language says that they don't go into effect until 1 year after the enactment of the act. So that means, let's say the bill passes even within the next 6 months. That means the majority of the people who are currently aged 19 or older are not going to benefit from the bill. So to say that it will protect people who are facing, or protect most of the people that are facing aging out, especially soon, is very misleading. And I think it's hurting those documented dreamers because they won't be benefiting from the bill. And then there's also everyone who aged out over the past 5 or 10 years, or even in the last few years, who would not benefit from it. So I don't think it has to be like one or the other. I think the Eagle Act should be passed because there shouldn't be like discrimination based on the country of origin. But at the same time, there needs to be a solution for people who are facing aging out immediately or have already aged out. And those are the solutions that we're focusing on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring that up. I hit on that point before when we look at, it's 1 year from an enactment. So it basically is like a 2 year, almost a 2 year gap when you look at the way the fall down works from it. At the end of the day, I think when I look at something like the Eagle Act, I think it has a good possibility, but then we're seeing some stalwart going on in the Senate. And it makes me wonder if reconciliation is going to be what they're going to decide to do for immigration reform towards the end of the year. I guess we'll see. But it also makes me very hopeful for a standalone, like we may see, that'll be a bipartisan, text language that Representative Ross is set to unveil for us. So good stuff, man. Super excited about what's going on. And I think, listen, Deep, we've talked about this. We're pro, reform as it relates to clearing the green card backlog and creating protections for documented dreamers. We talk about a lot on this channel that this problem was created because of the country caps that are put on employment-based preferences that put parents in a cycle that create the documented dreamer aging out issue. And so it all goes back to there's a systemic issue, and that is the issue. And until we realize that and reform that law, we're going to continue to have this problem. So what I wanted to do, I just wanted to go through really quickly. There's a few comments. I just wanted to bring them up. We're coming up on an hour, so I wanted to be cognizant of that and wrap it up. Suresha joined us here. He said, good work. Thank you for joining us, Suresha. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. My good friend Venkat, how you doing? Doing a great job, guys. Thanks for taking the time to meet all the really big people. Really appreciated. Our good friend Nitin, his son Anag, has a video out there on Twitter, which I saw has almost 5,000 views. You can see that on @ImproveTheDream on Twitter. As Nitin says, this is such a great way to advocate for the kids. Thank you, Nitin. As I talked about when I put this channel and I launched it, one of the things I quickly realized is that I had a unique voice, and it allowed me an opportunity to bring awareness to issues like this And that will be something, as I've committed to Deep and Improve the Dream. We will continue to do this series until the law changes. And we're going to continue to provide an outlet here on the H1B Guy channel for documented dreamers to tell their story and what they're fighting for. Nitin, just appreciate your friendship, and thank you so much, man. My good friend Samir says, I wish someday when you see the light at the end of the Stark Tunnel, love for his daughter to meet these heroes. So he's talking about Sirvani and Lakshmi and Pareen and Ashley and Raghav and Deep. You know, you guys will be the reason that she will realize her dream, and I couldn't agree with that more. Samir, thanks so much for your friendship, man, and your continued support. Cheryl, thanks for joining us. She says, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. And again, I repeat that sentiment. I mean, it goes without saying. Venkat said, you know, we're all here with you. Lavanya says, you guys are awesome. And thank you, Robert, for doing this video. Listen, I was so excited to have this group on tonight. I knew that we were going to have a great conversation, and just so excited to share their experience in DC. Dervas says, thank you for all the great work, and you know, appreciate it. And you know, again, Lavanya, thanks for all the hard work here. Some hand claps for everybody from Sumanthi. Annette says, hey, great progress. Exactly. The breaking news is what she's referring to here, Deep. That comment came in right as we were hitting the breaking news. And great job, team. Improve the Dream. And, you know, I'll clap my hands to that too. Just a great job all the way around, guys. And just so glad to have you on here and share your story. So before we close up tonight, I want to go around the horn one more time, give you a chance for some closing comments here. Lakshmi, I'm going to start with you. Since I started with Sirvani, she's at the top right, you're in the bottom, she's at the top left, you're in the bottom right. So I'm going to let you you go first, Lakshmi. What do you have for us closing tonight?
I just want to say, like, I feel like last week I really realized the power that comes with storytelling. Like Ashley was saying earlier, like a lot of people still don't know that this is an issue. Like our friends, our families, like there's still so many people that don't know about this. So the first step I really feel like is speaking up. And I know how incredibly difficult that can be because I struggled with that and I still do. But honestly, like speaking up, sharing our stories, that's really one of the first steps. And if you're a documented dreamer watching this, or if you have a kid that's a documented dreamer, please tell them to take our survey and join our Slack group, because we will guide you through setting up these meetings and making some change.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for coming on again. I look forward to having you on again, hopefully as a celebratory follow-up. So, Raghav, what about you? What do you got for us tonight? Close us out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Lakshmi. And I also want to add that I know a lot of times it seems like nobody's listening to us and the immigration system is too complex to like do anything. But there's a lot of people in DC and a lot of people in Improve the Dream that really want to make a difference. And I think we should have some hope, and a lot of great stuff is on the way. So.
Yeah, the breaking news tonight proves that, doesn't it? And thank you for joining tonight, man. Nice to meet you the other night, and really just glad to have you on the channel here tonight. Ashley, what about you? Close us out.
I mean, as Lakshmi said, communication, speaking out is so important, and I'm so grateful for Improve the Dream for giving me a platform to do so, because I know, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to fight for, issues that concern them and their families. So I'm really so grateful, and obviously to you, Rob, I'm also thank you for, lending us your platform to speak out. So very grateful all around.
Awesome. Thank you. Glad to have you on tonight, and loved hearing your story. Pareen, what about you?
I'd just like to say that I think Improve the Dream and obviously Deep gave us the voice that we lacked for so long. Growing up, it was hard because we didn't know anyone else in this situation. But after just whatever's happened in the past couple months, it's been very surreal. And the fact that we have people listening it's a big deal for us. And for anyone out there who is in our situation but feels a little scared to just come out and talk about it, it is a very scary thing. And we all understand that, and we've all been through that. But I highly recommend that you join Improve the Dream, because not only will you have a community, but you will find ways to help make change. And to anyone else listening, I mean, contact your lawmakers. That's very, very important with this. And lastly, I mean, I just hope that there's a solution for all dreamers, and for legal immigrants waiting in the backlog. I don't want anyone else to go through what we all have been experiencing. And I just hope that there aren't any dreamers anymore, and so we all get a pathway to citizenship. I think that's the most important thing. And together we can all do a lot of we can do big things. So
yeah, we look back on this as a little blip on the radar in history, Servani, close us out. What do you have for us tonight?
Yeah, so first I'd just like to say how thankful I was to go to DC last week. So growing up, I didn't know any documented dreamers, but after meeting Beep and all these other documented dreamers, I finally realized we had the power in numbers. We could really create change. So that was just eye-opening last week. And then thank you so much for, giving us this platform to speak out and to be able to tell our stories. So this has all been just an insane journey. But like everyone has said, there is power in numbers. And if you are a documented dreamer, or your child is, it'd be phenomenal if they could join Improve the Dream, so we could continue making change and fighting for our futures.
Awesome. And Deep, what do you have for us?
I just want to echo what everyone's saying. I think what helps the most when you feel the most hopeless and helpless in bringing change is hearing from others who are in your situation. And I think that really inspires each of us. And together that gets us to make the change that we need. So again, it was such an amazing experience, and meeting everyone in person. And if you are a documented dreamer, if you're in this situation, go to improvethedream.org/survey and join, and we can advocate together and really bring the change that we need.
Yep, improvethedream.org/survey. And you see that right there on the screen down on the bottom. Just a couple of last comments here. Brooke says, amazing job. Thank you, Brooke, for joining in tonight. Nice to see you. Ashok says, thank you for all your great efforts. Hope to see some great news in the days ahead. Syed, thanks for all creating history, which is absolutely what you've done over the last couple of weeks. And Murali says, thank you all and for championing this cause. And, I'll just say thank you to the six of you for coming on here tonight. I know we had a couple technical difficulties. We were a few minutes late, but thank you to everyone who bared with us and who jumped in and joined us tonight to hear these stories, and just really appreciate the fact that they're willing to come on and share them with me and with my audience. And I'm very grateful for that. And as I told you the other night, and I'll tell you again, if I can ever help you at any point as you continue to move into your career, you are the future of this country. And if I can help you in any way, I look forward to doing that. And just send, my love to all of you, and nothing but my support and, hope and prayers for change, which I think is on the horizon. And I'll continue to be patient, but we're going to continue to provide this platform. So thank you again. And I just wanted to remind everyone that tonight's live stream was brought to you by RecruiterNetworks.com, the smart solution for digital perm ads and local job postings since 2001. This national job board network provides recruitment websites in 1,024 major U.S. metro areas. Each local job board is its own portal and is a low-cost resource for immigration recruitment ads for all industries and professions, with a flat price of $225 per ad, regardless of which city you choose. RecruiterNetworks.com has been the #1 place for immigration attorneys, immigration ad agencies, and employers to meet the DOL portion requirements for the digital portion of the perm advertisement rules. RecruiterNetworks.com. Tell them the H1B guy sent you. And also by Path to Canada. Path to Canada provides an ideal plan B for high-skilled immigrants currently located in the U.S. whose status may be uncertain. If you're facing an H-1B denial or OPT expiration, don't get caught off guard. Make sure you have a plan B, and Path to Canada is your answer. They will help you navigate the process. If you're interested in finding out more, please be sure to click the link in the video description below. I just wanted to remind everyone that next Tuesday will be the next time I go live on this channel, and I'll be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the H1B Guy here on YouTube. So that'll be, I think, around 2 o'clock is what I'm planning on Tuesday, June the 29th. So make plans to come and join me and help me celebrate. I also wanted to just ask you one more time, if you haven't already, to please like this video, subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications. One last time, that's improvethedream.org/survey. If you have a documented dreamer, or if you are a documented dreamer who's watching this video or first hearing about Improve the Dream for the first time, again, you need to go to improvethedream.org/survey. Deep thanks again, Sirvani, Pareen, Ashley, Raghav, and Lakshmi. Want to wish you all a great night and a huge thank you. I'm Robert. I'm the H1B Guy, your global source for all things H1B.